Good day, folks. FoxxC here with another episode of FoxxBites. Today, we're going to be taking a bite out of some political theory using an example from my own life. Delicious. Divide a Dollar, a case study in labor conflict. Part 1. Divide a Dollar. The Divide a Dollar game is a component of zero-sum game theory where players are asked to simultaneously distribute a limited amount of resources towards several objectives. I'm going to be coming back to this framework over the next few videos as it's very important for understanding our current political climate and some of the challenges we face in left-wing organizing. The Divide a Dollar thought experiment is most commonly used in its simplest form to describe the behavior of political parties vying for voters in a two-party system. There's a fixed number of voters, and each party attempts to sway each individual voter to support them. The most obvious example being, of course, the United States federal elections. There are all sorts of complexities of this experiment that have been approached in the subject of distributive politics. But like all good game theory problems, we can scale the Divide a Dollar game to generally apply in a variety of economic and political scenarios. Like labor organization, for example. Let's take a look at a visual reference. As you can see, we have two political parties, let's call them labor and management, that are vying for the support of a limited number of potential voters, or workers. Each side will deploy resources, in this case the promise of contracted incentives in the form of wages, benefits, and perks, in order to convince the workers to support their cause. The labor side will attempt to convince the workers that they can get the best deal economically for themselves by maintaining solidarity and collectively bargaining a contract. The management side, in a bid to keep costs as low as possible, will build support by deploying a variety of strategies targeted at breaking worker solidarity, either through the promise of incentives or the threat of punishment. In theory, both parties are going to present a package of incentives that they feel will leave them no worse off than the status quo, and, in a best-case scenario, give them the desired outcome. This is what we call a min-max equilibrium. Each side is trying to minimize the potential loss and maximize the potential gain once the resources are distributed. Whether it's RPGs or economics, min-maxers are a pain in the ass. One possible solution to the conflict is to increase the amount of available resources. That is, pay the employees a living wage. That would, barring a minimum wage law, require union and management to collaborate against ownership. In the real world, this type of collaboration is exceedingly rare because capitalism uses the concept of artificial scarcity to force labor and management to become opponents. Managers are given a set operational budget. If they can't work within that budget, they will be replaced by someone who can. Ownership, in a worst-case scenario, and if the cost of exiting the labor market is low enough, may shut the business down and reinvest their capital in a more profitable area. This has proven to be an extremely effective method of disrupting labor organization. It is so potent that building solidarity based solely on economic material conditions appears to be a political impossibility. Let's look at the case to find out why. The case occurred within the last year in one of my workplaces, and events played out quite closely to what is predicted in a simple Divide a Dollar game. The workplace? An eatery attached to an attraction and owned by a conglomerate. The situation? Skyrocketing cost of living combined with stagnating wages made it difficult for employees to make ends meet and for the employer to find labor. Kitchen workers were particularly hard hit and clamored for raises. Management was already under pressure regarding payroll and decided to increase the percentage that food and beverage servers were required to tip out to the kitchen in order to make up for the insufficient wages. The front of house staff each faced a loss of hundreds of dollars per month if the new policy went into effect. This, as you can probably imagine, was an unpopular development. All of the employees were locked into a tip-splitting contract, so management was in a position of having to convince the employees to accept the new arrangement and sign new contracts. They were also keenly aware of the need to prevent labor organization as they tried to implement an unpopular policy. Contemporary business administrators are very cautious when it comes to agitating labor and adept at preventing organization. In a non-union environment such as this, where there is no single block negotiating labor contracts, management was able to employ the divided dollar strategy to build support for their plan to reallocate income from one group of employees to another. In a divided dollar scenario like this strategy is simple. Let's go back to that visualization. Group A, in this case management, is looking to convince Group B, the kitchen workers, that their most beneficial course of action is to split the pie between them and cut Group C, the servers, out of the deal. This is exactly what went down. Management was able to approach the kitchen workers en masse at a staff meeting with the great news that they're getting more money. The employees, of course, all signed the new tip-out policy. Management now has to get the servers to agree to the new arrangement. This requires a change in tactics. Calling a staff meeting to tell 20 plus people they are losing money is a great way to have the deal tossed back in your face. So management went to each front of house employee individually, told them that the new policy was going into effect and that they were required to sign. When employees asked for time to review the agreement, they were told that the policy was going through no matter what. Management was confident using bullying tactics as they knew that all of their employees have zero-cause termination clauses in their contracts. Basically at-will firing with 2 weeks' notice. Management thought they had a coup. Fortunately, there was good communication between the kitchen and the serving staff, as well as experienced and educated employees. The servers put together a team to confront management about the proposed contract and the tactics used to secure agreement. Management couldn't fire everyone and was forced to back down on the policy change. Part 3. Hard lessons. Though management failed to push through their new policy, the best that the employees could hope for was a stalemate. I'm sure there are experienced organizers watching this and saying, "What a perfect opportunity to unionize." You're not totally wrong, but this is a perfect case study in the difficulty of generating collective action against an employer. Let's take a look at our divided dollar setup again. As before, in this one, management divides a larger share of the pie with the specific group of workers, in this case, the kitchen. A union arrangement would look like this. Group B and C have come to an agreement to split the pie more evenly between them, with a smaller portion going to the company. Managers know the divided dollar game very well. They teach this in business school. They're paid to do everything in their power within and sometimes outside the law to prevent labor from organizing. A significant portion of their time at work is spent monitoring performance and relationships to identify potential discontent and neutralize it before it becomes a threat. The fact that the employees in this case study are on a zero-cause termination contract means that they have virtually no ability to attempt collective action without being fired. This workplace has a reputation for terminating employment just for uttering the U word in the presence of a manager. The best that any group of employees can hope for in this situation is what was achieved: stalemate and forcing management back to the drawing board. When the divided dollar strategy is applied to global labor markets on a massive scale, pitting the workers of one nation against another, it is easy to see the leverage that capital wields. This is the future in which labor must organize: a globalized gig economy and the time of automation. Workers need to realize that with automation and no intervention comes the creation of a new class, the unemployeds. You can be certain that this class division will be exploited in a way that will stoke animosity between those with jobs and those without. You can be equally certain this division will reproduce within itself all of the other inequalities inherent in our current system. The unemployed will largely be Black and Indigenous people of color, women, and queer folk, much like things are today. A solidarity born by identity, what political scientists call an indivisible good, is much stronger than a solidarity born by material conditions, so-called divisible goods, as this case proves. The best chance we have now is to stand in solidarity with our siblings of oppression in the Black Lives Matter movement and Indigenous resistance, and to build economic solidarity out of that framework. Diverting this course will require structural changes that strengthen the ability of all people to organize, like robust public health care, direct support for social programs, abolishing the police, universal basic income, and legal protections for employees organizing in their workplace. If you would like to take action, I've included some links to resources in the description, but my best advice would be to reach out to organizations in your area that are enacting any of the initiatives I mentioned and find a way to assist their campaign. Thanks for joining me. This is FoxxC saying, Black Lives Matter, stay safe, and good luck. Hi folks, FoxxC here, just saying thank you so much for watching my most recent episode of FoxxBites. If you liked this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. And don't forget to check out my other videos on this channel, because I have lots of great content coming out soon thanks to the support of my wonderful patrons. If you have a few extra dollars in these times of troubles and you would like to become a patron, you can do that at www.patreon.com/FoxxTales. Or if you'd like to give us a one-time donation, www.coffee.com/FoxxTales. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.